players' latest offer as deadline closes. Players are seeking a salary cap of $10 million, 30% of league revenue. The league believes it will cost it'll be an atrocious loss. 30% is crazy, bro. How do you give 30% of something you ain't got?
That frustration you just heard, that's not just some random commentary. Word is Adam Silver has basically hit his limit with these CBA talks. We're looking at 48 hours before this thing could completely shut down, and the distance between what players are asking for and what the league can actually handle, it's not just big, we're talking about a massive financial gap that could kill the entire 2025 season.
Yeah, according to that report. Goes on to say, you heard a lot of chatter about what we're asking for. It's not sustainable for the business. Nafisa Collier said during an Unrivaled broadcast Monday. Being on this side with Unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. Yeah, but you ain't had this business for 30 damn years. If they can't find a model that makes it happen.
Here's the number that's called. So what's driving this whole mess? One number, 30%. 2 weeks back, the WNBA Players Association dropped a proposal demanding 30% of total revenue and wants the salary cap to skyrocket from $1.5 million all the way up to $10.5 million per team. Front Office Sports got confirmation of these numbers on January 7th, 2025. The league looked at this, and their response was brutal. They're saying this proposal creates $700 million in losses throughout the entire CBA period. Not smaller profits. Straight up losses that would bankrupt teams.
They need to put people in place who can. We're proving that it's possible. There is a way. We're thriving in it. Y'all thriving in it. Your league only been around for 2 years. How could you base your 2-year data off 30-year data? They've been having to pay salaries, pay for arenas, pay for different things for the last 30 years. And they just now we don't even know if they even made a profit. Just last year when Caitlin Clark came, they was at a $24 million loss. Do we all forget this? We can't forget.
That clip shows you exactly what the real issue is here. The Unrivaled League has been running for under 2 years with a totally different way of doing business, but players are pointing to it as evidence that WNBA owners are straight up lying about whether this all works financially. But there's something huge that comparison leaves out. The WNBA has needed NBA money to survive for 28 straight years. 2023 saw the league lose $40 million. 2024 brought the whole Caitlin Clark phenomenon, with record-breaking ratings, and they still lost $24 million. Players have every right to want bigger paychecks, but they're acting like the money is just sitting there when the numbers show something completely different.
About here. Now, Nafisa Collier been tripping. It says both sides agreed to second extension hours before the CBA was set to expire on November the 30th. Last month, the WBPA authorized a strike in a vote that included 93% of participation from players. 98% voted to allow the union's executive committee to call a strike when necessary. Now, if both sides can agree to a third.
All right, so let's break down what the league actually put on the table, because this is where things get wild. Early December rolls around, and the WNBA says they'll give players 70% of what's left after expenses, not the total revenue like players want, but what remains after costs. Sources close to these talks say this works out to roughly 15% of total league revenue. Salary cap jumps from $1.5 million to $5 million per team. Maximum salaries go over $1.3 million, and average salaries hit above $500,000 during the deal. We're talking about more than triple the current salary cap. For a league that's never made money, that's pretty massive. But players said no because they want their cut from total revenue, not what's left over.
Extension or work stoppage, whether in the form of a lockout initiated by the owners or strike initiated by the players, would not be automatic. If neither side initiated a work stoppage, negotiation could instead enter a period of status quo. Under the terms, so this is what's finna happen possibly, y'all. So it said under the terms of the current CBA, the players cannot strike without terminating the extended agreement. But if negotiations are under status quo, the union could call a strike at any point. So it is.
This is what makes these talks so dangerous right now. Both sides already pushed the deadline back twice. November 30th was supposed to be it when the original deal expired. Then they did it again in late December. Now we're sitting at January 7th with January 9th midnight staring everyone down. And there's nothing close to a deal happening. The WNBA Players Association ran a strike vote back in November with 93% of players jumping in. Out of everyone who voted, 98% said yes to letting the leadership call a strike whenever they think it's time. That's not some bargaining chip. That's a weapon sitting right there on the table, ready to go off.
It is. If the union could call it, that's probably what's going to happen after the 9th. I'm the first one calling this. That's probably what's going to happen on the 9th, probably late January 9th. No more extensions. It's going to be a strike that will be forced by the union. The union is more than likely, from what I'm reading, it's going to be the ones to inflict this strike onto the WNBA. Now, that's what
this report lays out exactly why a strike is probably going to happen. The way the current deal works, players can't strike unless they completely tear up the agreement. But if talks go into what they call a status quo period after January 9th, meaning the old deal stays active while everyone keeps talking, the union can hit the strike button whenever they want without any warning. No new vote needed, no extra approval required. The leadership already has complete authority. So even if we somehow get past January 9th without everything falling apart, the possibility of a mid-season strike would be hanging over every single game, every broadcast deal, every sponsor conversation. That kind of uncertainty alone could completely wreck all the progress the league has made.
Now I can tell you right now, Adam Silver is frustrated as hell. Like, why we can't get this deal done? Like, it's not for to be a WNBA season, guys. I really don't think it is. Like, not that they're asking for down there half of the revenue. Like, how are we gonna give you half when we don't even have half to give? They don't even have half to give. Yeah, I do understand it, right? Guys, get down in the comment section right now. Let me know your thoughts about this one. Make sure you keep the bells on. Until next time, man.
Let's really examine what this 30% demand actually means. NBA players get around 50% of basketball-related income, but we're talking about a league pulling in almost $10 billion every year with a money-making system that's worked for decades. The WNBA brought in roughly $200 million in revenue during 2024. Based on what industry people are saying, 30% of total revenue from a $200 million league that's bleeding money right now means players would grab $60 million right off the top before anyone pays a single bill. Arena expenses, travel costs, staff paychecks, marketing budgets, broadcast production costs. All of that has to come out of the leftover $140 million. And don't forget, the league was down $24 million last year even without this salary setup. The numbers don't just fail to add up, they guarantee the whole thing goes bankrupt inside 3 years.
Talking about the new fans. They're killing the interest. Y'all talking about fans, tweeting, us making videos. Y'all doing everything y'all can to sabotage y'all current little hype that y'all got. To the point now where the hype is so bad, hell, it's hard to get 5,000 views on a video right now. I just got to keep it real because ain't nobody else going to see it. Everybody is struggling. If your name ain't Rachel Demento, you're struggling. I'm sorry. It's that bad. But us trying to report on this thing is keeping on. So
this is where Adam Silver's frustration starts making total sense. Multiple people are saying he thought they basically had a deal locked up a month ago in early December. The league had put forward what they saw as a really solid offer, tripling the salary cap, guaranteeing revenue sharing for the first time ever in WNBA history, creating a realistic path to max salaries over $1 million. Silver figured the players would come back with small tweaks, they'd find some middle ground, and boom, deal gets announced before Christmas. Instead, players returned with this 30% proposal that the league says is completely impossible financially. Now Silver has to personally jump in and negotiate something he believed was already finished. And there's this deadline approaching that could either lock everyone out or trigger a strike that destroys every bit of momentum. Caitlin Clark's rookie year built up.
Oh, with that being said, bruh, let's dive into this article that has just been released about an hour ago, man. This is from Front Office Sports. Not even an hour. Yeah, about a good hour ago. So this is the current state of the WNBA. So WNBA has encountered
This part should worry every single WNBA fan out there. The league just had its greatest season ever. Caitlin Clark pushed ratings up by 4 times in some places. Indiana Fever went from playing to 4,000 people to packing 17,000-seat arenas every night. Merchandise flew off the shelves. National media gave the WNBA coverage it had never experienced before. Corporate sponsors who had ignored the league for decades suddenly wanted to get involved. And how do players respond to this incredible growth? By demanding a financial setup that would wipe out all those wins and sink the league into losses it can't survive. Look, it's not that players don't deserve bigger money. They absolutely do. But asking for 30% of total revenue from a league that's never been profitable isn't negotiating. It's basically setting everything on fire. What makes this whole situation so incredibly frustrating for everyone is that players have real reasons to be upset. WNBA salaries have been embarrassingly small for elite professional athletes. Tons of players have had to go play overseas all year just to make decent money. The league has barely invested in marketing for decades. Owners have treated the WNBA like some charity case instead of a real business. All of that is absolutely true. But the answer to decades of getting ignored isn't to demand financial terms that guarantee the league falls apart. The Caitlin Clark effect showed everyone the WNBA can actually grow, but growth doesn't happen overnight. You can't fix 30 years of going nowhere with one great season and a revenue-sharing plan that completely ignores how money actually works. The league's offer of 70% of what's left after expenses actually makes perfect sense as a starting point. Money after expenses means once you handle the bills, arena costs, travel, production, staff, whatever remains gets divided up with players getting most of it. That actually works long-term. That allows for real growth. That creates a partnership where everyone wins when the league does well. But total revenue sharing means players get paid first before any expenses. That works in the NBA because revenue is so enormous that even after giving players 50% of the total, there's still billions left to cover costs and make profit. In a $200 million league that's currently losing money, taking 30% right off the top means complete financial disaster. And here's something important about Adam Silver jumping in personally. He doesn't have to be doing this. The NBA covers the WNBA's losses, but Silver could easily tell the owners to handle it themselves. The fact that he's personally sitting at these negotiations shows the NBA still wants to make this work, but that support isn't unlimited. If players force a strike or owners start a lockout and the 2025 season gets canceled or seriously messed up, all that Caitlin Clark momentum disappears completely. Casual fans who just started watching won't stick around waiting for labor fights to end. Sponsors will spend their money somewhere else. TV networks will put other content in those time slots. The opportunity that opened up in 2024 will slam shut and might not come back for another 10 years. Just think about what's actually on the line right now. The WNBA has never been more relevant, more visible, or more financially realistic than it is today. People are talking about expansion teams. New cities are showing interest. Young girls are buying jerseys and going to games in numbers nobody's ever seen. The cultural moment everyone's been waiting for is finally happening. And players are threatening to blow the whole thing up over a revenue-sharing percentage that financial experts throughout the sports world say cannot possibly work. Not challenging, impossible. The math has been checked by tons of analysts. 30% of total revenue with the WNBA's current financial reality equals bankruptcy. Not maybe. Not eventually. Teams would start shutting down within 3 years. So what actually happens on January 9th? If no deal gets reached, the most likely thing, based on current reporting, is that negotiations go into a status quo period. The old deal technically stays in place while everyone keeps talking. But remember what that really means. The union can call a strike whenever they want, without getting any additional approval. Training camps are supposed to begin in April. Season starts in May. Picture being a sponsor trying to commit millions of dollars without knowing if there will even be games to advertise during. All the pressure sits completely on the players right now. The league has made an offer that triples salaries and brings in revenue sharing for the very first time. Owners have shown they're willing to invest in growth. Adam Silver is personally involved, which proves the NBA's continued financial support. Players are the ones demanding terms that economists say will bankrupt the league. And if they strike, if the 2025 season gets delayed or canceled, Caitlin Clark will be just fine. She's got endorsement deals worth tens of millions. Angel Reese has her own money coming in. The top stars will make it through. But players making league minimum, the ones who depend on those overseas contracts, the ones counting on that salary boost the league offered, they're the ones who get hurt most if this whole thing collapses. So here's the question every WNBA fan should be asking their favorite players on social media right now. Is 30% of total revenue worth destroying the best chance this league has ever had? Because that's the decision happening right this moment. Not in theory, not in some future negotiation. Right now, 48 hours from a deadline that could end the season before it even begins. The league has shown their hand. They've offered a path to serious salary increases connected to actual financial performance. Players need to decide if they want to build something that can actually last, or if they'd rather demand terms that look great in headlines but guarantee failure when you run the numbers. What do you think goes down on January 9th? Does the union face reality and take the league's offer? Do they force a status quo period and hold that strike threat over the entire season? Or does Adam Silver walk away and let owners lock players out until they come back with demands that make sense? Drop your prediction in the comments because we're about to see if the WNBA's breakthrough moment turns into its complete breakdown.